Hello and welcome to Terra Invicta. We have joined the game again on the latest experimental unstable branch, whatever, on 0.49, and this is the 5th patch of that already. So there were quite some hotfixes since 0.49 was released last week, I think, or a few days ago. And I want to start a new campaign. I already made a questionnaire on my YouTube channel about what we should play, and the votes were mostly for the Resistance or Humanity First. So I bundled these up as an option, and I think we all want to go Humanity First here. So of course, as usual, we play on the highest difficulty, but we are going to test out the new 2070 scenario. So this is a bit further. So there's lunar and Martian colonies, small fleets, but we're going to see that in a second. So I'm going to just jump in. Then we can talk about what we see there, and we can set up the new campaign. I'm not going to play what we get here. It's just like looking around at the 2070 setting, and you can help me choose where we want to start, because I'm going to start recording in a few days probably, but I'm going to publish this as soon as I can. And so, yeah. Okay, here we are. I skipped the intro video, and now we are in the 2070 scenario here. And we get hit by some reports that there are fleets in orbit. So, Resistance, Academy, I think everybody has a fleet at start. It was just set already in the opening menu. And we also see an alien ship in low Jupiter orbit and Saturn orbit.
Reporting for duty, Colonel.
Yeah, we're going to skip this for a second, because we are just going to look around. We can do all the story quests and everything in the proper playthrough. So, if we go into the solar system, we can only see the aliens here at Jupiter and Saturn, which means that we still need to do the global Skynet. A deep system Skywatch, not Skynet. Close to it, but yeah. Also, we are not alone for the next Councilor mission to the asteroid, so the other ones are already unlocked. I mean, like lunar and mission to the moon and mission to Mars. Yeah, okay. So we can check the tech tree in a second, and we can see here now that we do have a base on lunar here. So we do produce a bit of resources here. This is not really great. I think I would abandon this base actually as soon as I can. And Olympus Mons here for us is producing a decent amount of everything. So that's good. That's a really nice start. And I assume everybody starts with a base here. Yeah, everybody has something. So that brings to mind right away, in my head, right away, that we want to get Marines early, so that we kick off the servants, for example, and the Protectorate from Mars, that they don't have a base here. I think that's something we should do. Also, we don't have a station around Mars, which means we have to found them with boost. Yeah, so new outposts have to be founded with boost. Interesting. So this also means that... Oh, we have a station here as well. Military Science Lab, interesting. And we do have a fleet. We do have 2 fleets actually, so 8 ships here. This also brings to mind that probably the other factions also have fleets. Ooh, interesting. We have 8 ships, but the servants, for example, only have 3. So because we are Humanity First, we start with more. Interesting. I would like to take out the servant fleet and the Protectorate fleet from the get-go. I think we would do this directly in the first episode, because we are over command limit anyway, mission control limit. So losing 1 or 2 ships, why not? Sounds like a good deal here. Now let's have a look at Earth. It said that there are more United Nations already present. As we can see here, yeah, the European Union is massive. Slovakia and Hungary are, for some reason... Oh, in Serbia are not in the EU. England as well. But Scotland and Ireland are. And there is also a Nordic Union, as we can see here, which has also not merged into the EU. But we could merge that into the EU if you want to. And as we can see here already, we do have some unificated unions in Africa. And East African Federation and Southern African Federation. These look interesting. They have a lot of population, 500 here. And Ethiopia is separate with 300 again. That's a lot of population. India here with 1.68. Well, that's a lot of population. Let's see China. Oh, only 1 billion. So apparently population growth here has continued into 2070s, but China did relatively stagnate. Which, let's see actually on the global screen here. Yeah, India is the biggest, of course. So this also brings to mind that if we want to go an Earth-based science rush, which I'm somewhat leaning to right now in this scenario, then India is definitely best because of the population. And if I saw that right, yeah, Pakistan and Bangladesh are free. Which means we have 1.7 here, we do have 450 here, and we do have 226 here. So we can get a massive population base here in India if we want to. That would be a nice target, opening, whatever we want to call it. It's hard to get probably and very expensive. Yeah, 44 per point. That's a lot. We can also see the other ones here. So the other big population countries are, of course, China. And then already there's a lot of Africa, like West African and East African Federation. I don't think the African Union is unlocked. No, it's not. So no, it's not. But if one gets this one, you could get a lot of population here. Yeah, really a lot. On first glance, I mean, that's like 700, 1.2, 1.2, 1.5, 1.8, 2.1. Yeah, you would get far above 2 billion here in Africa. Probably 3 billion in population. And then you could still sneak some stuff with them, with the Arabic Union here. So you could get all of those countries here in as well, which is like another 200, another 100 here. Yeah, you could get even more into it if you wanted to. What I also saw is that the South American Union is on the map. So that's already founded, and most of it is in there except for Brazil and the Caribbean community. Okay, so we have a decolonized Europe here. And here that looks the same. And they also have some unified nations here in Southeast Asia. Okay. So the big question is now, what would we start with? Of course, this approval rating here is randomized at the start. So this could be very different if we restart the game. Yeah, I think, based on the numbers that I can see here, that, I mean, India is only at 7.4 education, but 1.7 billion. The growth of science would be immense. It's already 1.1k, almost the highest after China. So that's, and it also has a military score of 4.8. So whatever you want to do, India is your man here, because you have almost the best military, you have the highest population, you have almost the highest science output, not education core, but output, and then you have already 6 control points here, and some boost, of course. And boost is probably not as necessary because we already are on Mars. But getting into India will be massively complicated because of the massive population. So that's, let's see if we were to do... Oh, we have terrible starting councilors, but whatever. Yeah, 35 from national economy here. So you would need neighboring bonuses, you would need public campaigns getting you a +8 or something. A +6, let's see, where do we say plus? Azerbaijan or Sri Lanka, down here. Popular support is 12, so like 10, maybe you can get +10 here if you get to like 60-70%. 60% is probably a 10. So you would need very early persuasion 15 councillor +10 from popular support, and then you're still not close. the neighboring bonus like +4. That's not easy, not at all. And also, did I pick brutal as difficulty? I think I forgot that right now. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so that's a thing as well. What else do we see here? I think I just saw also the East African Federation as a potential target because it's 6.8 education score and 500 million at start. Science is relatively low, but you could build this one up. And it's probably relatively cheap. Yeah, 80 control points in total. That's cheap and has a long-term potential. And of course you could combine that with Ethiopia into the Union relatively early if you push science in that direction and great nations. Because of the fact that we don't need boost that much. Ooh, East African Federation has 2.5, so getting them early might be worth it. 6 control points, a mission control, 2.5 boost, and a potential to build it up long term. Why not? And you could spoil it at start, at least a little bit. That sounds like a great thing to do. What else would be there to spoil? I mean, like Gulf Union here, which includes Yemen, so the score is relatively low here. That could be easily spoiled because of the many oil nations here, resource regions. That would be something. I think Kazakhstan here is out of the order now. This is not meta here in this start, because 0.45 boost is nothing. It's not worth it here, and it doesn't really play into any role here. You could combine it with Russia, of course, but it's not really that great. So yeah, I think you want to go... I think India is an option, Africa is a really decent option. The European Union is very advanced, but it only has 400 million people. This is a potentially good source for mission control because of the high stats. But you could also get the same here in India. Yeah, 37 in New Delhi. That's insane. Yeah, India is massive. And Africa as well. I mean, you could also go for the South American stuff and then just use them as a cash base. Science isn't that great though. You could combine them early and also include the West African community. Oh no, you can't because the capital is in Kingston. So you can't get it in there. You can only get these 3. Yeah, I want you to also give your opinion where we should start. What we should do. I'm currently favoring a mix of East African Federation and India. So starting here and then moving there, or moving into India from the start, which means you would need to get, for example, Pakistan here and maybe Iran for spoiling. So getting the neighborhood bonuses and then breaking into India as soon as possible. Also Sri Lanka for the bonuses here. That would be an option. In regards to technologies, let's see, we can... What is already done? Yeah, we can see here that quite a few technologies are done. Mass drivers, outpost hub, nuclear fission in space, base mining, yeah. Solid core fission is done. This is like a few years of research already done. Like the first 2 years, I would guess. And then there are also these kind of projects, like some of the Great Nation projects are done, or the unifying projects. So that's also a thing. And let's also check the councilors. Yeah, this has been redone. Interesting. Yeah, this has been redone. So, for example, we could get this guy here. Quick learner, really nice one. But we are not going to use this save here. Ah, this is management. Okay, so you could move probably orcs around, right? Okay, confirm. I can't buy it. Okay, I can't. So, but then I could move... Ah, I can move them around here. Interesting. And monthly ledger. That's not new. Calendar is new. Ah, nice. And yeah. I know that there are some new modules. or I read about them. I didn't read every changelog, but if I recall correctly, there are some new modules, not full search, like something that can channel sunlight onto something on the, so I'm not sure how they would be called, but maybe let's call it solar collector. No, that's the usual. Solar mirror, probably. Solar mirror. A focusing mirror that directs extra sunlight to a point on the planet below, augmenting surface solar power module output. Grants +2 energy production to all solar power modules. Bonus also applies on the moon if the module is in the L1, L4, or L5 point between the moon and its parent planet. If placed in the L1 point between a planet and the sun, the bonus applies to all bases in the planetary system. Okay, so you could place this one. That's interesting. So you could place this on the L1 of Mars. Let's see, L1 of Mars is where? Here. It only has one slot though. Okay, so you could build one station here and then build the mirrors on there to focus sunlight into the Mars orbit. But then you could also put additional ones in orbit of Mars. Interesting. Definitely interesting. And here. I think other things we are going to discover on when we do it. I know that there was something in regards to boosting Earth science somewhere. Terrestrial National Research Oversight. Here we go. Yeah, again an additional 10% research from our control points. And this leads into national labs. Again, increases that to 20%. And then to 30% here. Yeah, these would be something you want to rush if you're doing Earth-based science. And I think we want to do this. So we are going to, because we play Brutal and we don't know what the aliens are going to throw at us, because we have to expect that the aliens also have an accelerated start. So who knows with how many bases they start in the outer solar system here. We're playing on Brutal, of course, when we play the playthrough. So there might be a much earlier invasion, which we maybe even can't prevent. So, because maybe it doesn't depend on the alien hate meter, for example. So this is another reason why we probably want to have one of the major technology nations here with armies. So 4.9, 4.8, 4.6, 4.5. Yeah, a lot of them have really good stats, so we maybe want to build one of them up. Of course, we could, for example, use the Gulf Union here for using military, for example. Because they are relatively cheap in points and they can provide money by spoiling, but they are not really that worth long term unless we merge them into the African Union, for example, later on. But they could provide us with armies that we need, while we don't build India, for example, into high tech, because we want to focus into science only. This would be an option as a thought process here. But yeah, feel free to share your thoughts here, because I think that's roughly everything we can discuss here on opening. And yeah, I'm seeing you for the first episode then. And yeah, maybe I followed some of your comments or requests. So leave a like and subscribe, and see you in the playthrough.